We have Mr. Stan Pierchoski, and it's time for Bulletproof Estate Planning. Stan, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. And we were both out last Friday.
Good to see you.
We were both out last Friday.
I think we were.
We're all back again, so as usual.
Back in the saddle.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend.
I mean, maybe someday we'll see some sunshine.
Oh my goodness, we had a flood here yesterday.
It's it depends on where you are for that stuff, but man, yeah, I know. And I was telling my wife, if the sun ever does come out, there's so much moisture in the ground, it's just going to be like a sauna.
Yes, it is.
It's going to take a couple of days.
To me, it's muggy out there now. It's muggy. Yeah.
It is. But lots of folks say, well, we need the rain. I know we do, but you don't need it all in the same week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really, once it starts running off, it's not helping much.
Yeah.
Saturation is saturation. You can't get any more than that.
I told somebody this week I've got a new branch on my property.
Well, it should be a temporary one. But yeah, the best thing is it's quietly rained for an hour.
Yes.
Gently in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, we've had some of that too.
Yeah.
We sure have.
Hey, to start things off with on our show here, of course, we are Bulletproof Estate Planning, and we do discuss anything that has to do with estate planning. We are also interactive, so if you want to call, telephone number is 931-766-9393, 766-9393. Pretty easy number to remember.
Making sure we're on, and we are.
And I've got my next I got my next seminar tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
It's over at Star Theater around the square in Pulaski.
Yeah.
So if you want to come to that, it's a super simple drive. I just did it.
Yeah.
So
a good friend of mine is planning to be there. He let me know that he was planning to be there today.
Excellent. We have a pretty high attendance from the head count that we got.
Yeah.
Inevitably, some folks can't make it, and inevitably, some just show up at the door.
Yeah.
But at the theater there, we got plenty of room.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. I don't know if the risers will be in. They might be, but there's plenty of room to put chairs out and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway,
okay.
So we're looking forward to that. And, I get a good turnout at those things, and I'm going to tell you why. Because one of the most popular things we do is when people come in, one level or another, people are interested in asset protection. Just think about this. They work all their life. They have a home. They have maybe a second piece of property. They got cars. They got furniture. They got money in the bank. They got kids. They got what I would call your wealth, whatever that is for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have all this, and they want to reach their retirement years, and they want to do what they want to do in their retirement years and enjoy them. A lot of people like to travel. A lot of people have hobbies. I mean, just a whole gambit of things people do in their retirement years, and they want to do that. And the thought of losing your assets to the government in one way or another, okay, either at death, you can lose it through this probate process, or during life, a lot of it can be lost with the long-term care issue. And when people come to my seminars, 90% of them, that's what they're interested in. That's why we call it wills, trusts, and the nursing home.
Yes.
That's what we talk about.
Right.
And you don't have to be on the cusp of going into long-term care to do some pre-planning. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm getting at. That's what's the most popular. We do have people that show up at the seminars that already have people in care or very close, but usually those folks just approach me otherwise. Some come to the seminar, but the majority of people that come to the seminar are people in our age bracket that are not heading for the nursing home yet, or not headed for care, but have this concern that what if something like that happened to me or my wife, right?
Yes.
And we had to go into care, and it's like, I said, early in the year, it was $10,000 a month. Now it's a little bit more. Several of them have raised their rates from $330 a day to $345. That puts us over $10,000 a month.
Yes.
And they're going to do it again a couple times in the year.
Yes.
And so it just goes up, and it's a catastrophic cost.
Right.
And the best thing to do, the very best thing to do, is deal with it now, and it's not really something you're actively worried about, but you're thinking it's a possibility.
Yes.
When we're in our 30s and 40s, everybody says what I said in my 30s and 40s. I'll worry about that later. That's not something to be concerned about. Yeah, and I get it. And we get some folks like that, and they're interested in our revocable living trust, which is a great tool. It just doesn't protect your property from those kind of creditors. But as you get towards your retirement years or actually in them, these thoughts come around. Why? Because you hear community stories about people.
Yeah.
You hear other people's experiences, and they're usually always bad.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, I get a chance to tell success stories when I talk on this about those very things.
Sure.
People would get eligible. So, but That's why people come. The asset protection trust we do is a very popular trust, and it works. I mean, I've been doing it long enough to see them mature for people that go into care, and we've seen how the trust works with the 10 care eligibility, and it works great. I mean, we're so fortunate in this state to have these kind of trust laws. Now, most states have similar asset protection trusts, but in Tennessee, we're ranked 3 out of 50 states for having the most favorable trust laws. They do
Really?
I don't know, it's not a poll, but it's kind of a survey on trust laws for 50 states. They do it every year. And as long as I've been looking at it, we've been number 3. And number 1 and 2 have always been the same, and number 1 is Nevada, but they have some problems out there. Their laws are so favorable that they actually get challenged by the people that are getting the short end of that stick.
Yeah.
In other words, they have some asset protection strategies where you can put property into this trust and shield it from creditors, and they include the creditors like alimony and child support.
Oh, really?
And this is Nevada. Now, what happened was somebody from out of state, I think it was in Utah, that took it to the state Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court said, we are not going to, most states give other states full faith and credit, right?
Yes.
But they said, we are not going to honor full faith and credit for policies that offend public policy. And child support and alimony is a responsibility of a spouse or a parent, right?
Yes.
And we're not going to let you just get out of paying child support just so you don't have to pay it, and now this child becomes a ward to the state.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And bankruptcy was the third one that they said they're not going to honor it for that.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. If you have a child and you just go to Nevada and open up a trust just so you don't pay child support,
that's not very.
I think you ought to get whaled. I think we need to open up a can of you know what.
Yeah, exactly.
But because that's just kind of low down, right? And the same thing with spousal support. Now you might argue me with that on it, but there is a reason for spousal support, which we used to call alimony.
Yeah.
And you just can't get out from under some of those responsibilities.
Sure.
But and so they get challenged for things like that. But
Okay.
Being number 3, our trust laws are very favorable. They're easy to work with. The courts uphold them.
Yeah.
And you hear me report on court cases every now and then because there's never very many of them.
Yeah.
And usually when I talk about court cases, there are other states that are relatively similar to us, and we can glean something from those. But not much changes in this world legally.
Yeah.
And there may be some changes, but in the future, but it usually is not much. We had a few changes with the One Big Beautiful Bill, and I talked about them. And
Sure.
they were very, very minor and really didn't affect any of the stuff that we did. They were had to do with money for more and more caregivers to be paid and stuff like that.
Yep.
So anyway, it's a very popular thing that we do, and if you're interested in that, and I want to bring this up too, and that because this happened in the last week or two. I had 2 people that were what I call in crisis planning. They came to me because they had somebody in care.
Okay.
And they're bleeding to death financially, right? Because they're private paying, or they're still in that Medicare window where they're not having to pay yet because they're Medicare and their supplements are paying, but that window's rapidly closing.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're concerned about how they're going to pay. And both people said they'd gone to several attorneys. And one of them kind of named them. And they were telling me that just about every one of them said, there's nothing I can do for you. I can't help you. I mean, this is just the way the law is. They're just going to have to use their assets to pay for their care until the assets are gone. Then 10 Care will pay for it. And one of them finally said that they talked to somebody, and instead of saying that, they pretty much said, you know what, I don't know what to do, but I know there's somebody that does a lot of that. Maybe he can help you. They referred him to me.
Yeah.
And there is something you can do. Now, I hate to hear that. As an attorney, I'll give advice, but I'm only going to give advice I can stand behind.
Yeah.
So if you come to me, I used to do criminal work, but let's say you come to me and say, I'm going to get a divorce. Tell me how the divorce laws work. I mean, I kind of know how they work, but I never did that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give you a legal opinion that I'll stand behind because I'm not the best person to ask. I don't do that kind of work.
Yeah.
And so it's what my wife would call getting out of your lane.
Yeah, getting out of your lane.
Hey,
That's right.
When you talk about divorce law, I'm out of my lane.
Yeah.
I used to know a little more about it, but I just don't do it, so I don't waste any brain cells on it.
Sure.
I never did it because I didn't like it. And if I didn't like it, I don't want to know about it. But it's just an area outside my practice. So and I don't understand. It bothers me that attorneys will give that kind of advice, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
Now, they may not know what you can do, and that's okay. I mean, there's areas of law where I don't know what's available.
Sure.
But at least they ought to steer them in a direction or something, but not be so absolute about it.
Yeah.
And say, well, actually, I had somebody, one of the people I was talking about came to me. They were their parent, I think the husband's parent was in care, and they were at that point. They spent all their assets, and they had quite a few. And they spent all their assets, and now they were down to nothing, and they already got the person, got them eligible for TennCare. And we were talking about that, and they were telling us that that's the advice they got, was just spend it all until it's gone.
Yeah.
And so that conversation was way behind the 8 ball. There was nothing we could do. It had already been done.
It's already been done.
And, of course, I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but I just said, gosh, I wish we'd have been involved. There is something you can do. Because they came to one of my seminars, and they came to one of my seminars, and they were setting up an asset protection trust for them.
Yes.
Because of what they saw.
Yeah.
And it's hindsight at this point, but we could have done something.
Sure.
Oh, actually, we could have done a lot. But anyway, so that's why we have the seminar, because when people hear about long-term care and you go on the internet or you talk to people, that you get these answers that are misinformation.
Sure.
Or there's a little glimmer of truth in those answers, but it's not the whole story by far. Yeah. I like to say at least it's misinformation. At most, it's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can, when you come to my seminar, you be open-minded, because you may be very pleasantly surprised that there is something to do.
Sure.
So that's what they're for. I recognized this years ago. I've been doing these seminars probably almost for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, people didn't know what they could do, and so we recognized this problem right away, and we embraced it, and we dug in. I spent 1,000 hours at least, perfecting what we do and this trust that we do, and studying the law on this long-term care issue and asset protection.
Yeah.
And the ones we do that revocable living trust for probate avoidance, and that's kind of all we do. And
yeah.
There's lots to be done, and so it surprises me how the whole topic, what everybody knows about it, can be slanted and off point.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming anybody for it. It just is. So I'm trying to correct it by holding seminars and say, listen, I know what you've read online. I know what you've talked to your friends. I know what they've said to you. Kind of let that out of your head and then listen to what I have to say, because there are options. That is a way. A way to do it is spend everything on care until there's nothing left. Then you're eligible because you're indigent.
Yeah.
And now you're eligible pretty much by default. But now you don't have anything either.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a way. I just don't think it's a very good way. How about we get you eligible and you keep everything?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a much better way. I can contend.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that could argue that was choice one was better than choice two.
Yeah.
But that's what we talk about, and it's very popular. So if you're interested in that, come and hear it. I mean, I call them free educational seminars, and I focus on the word educational. You can focus on the word free if you want, because that's what it is. There's no obligation.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you can leave.
Yeah. Or you don't have to do it.
Or
yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah.
We'll have some light refreshments there. Miss Tammy is out. I took her to the airport yesterday, or Wednesday, and she is with my daughter in Miami. She's ready to have grandchild number 3.
Oh, yeah.
And she sent me a picture, and I just don't know what's keeping that child in there. It looks like, I mean, I don't know how to say it. Don't mean to be insulting to pregnant women, but she looks like it's got to happen.
It's got to happen any minute.
But she's actually due the 6th. So we're about a week tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be
a week away. And anyway, so we got another grandchild coming. So she won't be. And my point is, she won't be here to make her famous muffins and the refreshments that she makes when we do the seminars. So we'll have to get to maybe
we'll have to get something else.
I hate to say we'll buy donuts, but I can't. I don't know how to make them. And we hired a new person in the office. Yeah. Brand new, going to start on Monday. She's going to be at the seminar too, and so we are.
Office is growing.
It is. And of course, my daughter, she works for me now down in Miami. She works remotely, and she runs the crisis team. I think you guys probably spoke.
Yeah, we did. We talked to her.
Well, she's moving here. She's having the child 1st of June here, and at the end of June, they're moving up here.
Very good.
And they're going to live here, and they're going to look for a house. And
I could help them with that, by the way.
I will ask.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, I can.
No, we use our resources for sure.
Absolutely.
But I'm kind of frantically going through the house. I've been for over a month now, just because with the youngins being there, our house is no longer as childproof as it was when the kids were little.
Yes.
Like one thing, I had a makeshift railing on the main stairs. It's been there for years, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
now I'm trying to put a new one in there. I built the house, I built the stairs. I've never built a real nice looking stair rail.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
Do you have to do the spindles and everything?
You have to have everything figured out before you make the first
Oh,
cut.
yeah.
And it's kind of, I'm a little bit nervous about doing it because it seems like if you cut something wrong, it's unforgiving.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a challenge there.
It is. It's a three-dimensional project in your head, you know. So anyway, that's what's going on. If you want to come to the seminar, it's tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We call it Will's Trust in the Nursing Home. It's at the Star Theater right on the square in Pulaski.
Very good.
My office is right off the square in Pulaski, but you know,
Starts at 10, right?
yeah, we try to start right as close to 10 as possible.
Very good.
So doors will probably open at 9:30 or so, and you know, it's a nice big venue, air conditioning and all that. So
Nice area there on the square too. So
Yeah.
lots of things to do. Very good. Very good. Well, if you've got something, I'll wait on you. But I've got a question.
well, I had something, but it can wait. But, I'm going to jot a note down here so I don't forget. But go ahead and tell me what.
Well, here's the thing. Just this past week, you know how we see videos and different things on Facebook, this and that. And there was a particular speaker, and if I said his name, he's nationally famous.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm not going to say his name. It doesn't matter. But here's the gist of what he said. He was talking about long-term health care insurance, long-term insurance.
Yeah.
Okay? And the need to buy it. And then he went on to say, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here basically, and it really sparked some thought process with me because of our conversations. He basically said, that putting your assets away in such a way that that you can get TennCare is fraud. And I'm like, that's not right.
Well, it can
That's
be.
not-
I mean, it depends
yeah.
what you do.
Yeah, but he was like it was like he was advocating that if you did anything like that, you were really just kind of lying to the system, and you shouldn't do that. You should just get some health insurance or whatever to cover this cost because you're responsible for paying for it anyway. Blah blah blah. So, and I thought, I know better than this. This is not exactly right. So I'm like, well, does he not know that we've already paid for this service?
That was going to be my response.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. People don't know that we're already paying for this. So what we're doing is not necessarily is dishonest in any way. These laws are set up to do exactly what we're doing. And they've talked about that, but I was like, why doesn't this guy know this?
Well, I don't know. That I can't answer, but probably because of the same boat that a lot of attorneys don't know it. They just, I guess I can use the word lazy. Not lazy. They just don't put in the effort to understand it.
Or they just want to sell the insurance.
Well, the thing is, maybe that. But I'm saying, as far as attorneys, if you want to understand how this works and practice this, you better be prepared to put in the time, energy, and effort to understand it because the rules are voluminous.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got to put that in. And I think that most attorneys don't understand it because they don't go the route.
Yeah.
This gentleman, but you hit the nail right on the head, and I'll tell you right now, you know who says that we've already paid for it is the Tennessee Supreme Court. It's a case, the style escapes me, but, and I've talked about it many times on this show and other shows, and that is that the courts have ruled that TennCare is an entitlement to you.
Yes.
You are entitled to the benefits of TennCare. So a lot of people say, well, it's welfare. It's not welfare. And the crux of the analysis of the court was, this is an involuntary participating program. I mean, some people may want to do it, but basically, you never got a letter saying, hey, is it okay if we take money out of your paycheck every week to go toward medical? Okay?
Yeah.
And but you have to participate in it. It's involuntary. You don't have a say in it. Now, you may not mind them taking it out, but doesn't change the fact that it's involuntary.
Yeah.
And so they take it out. And because you are an involuntary participant, now it rises to the level of an entitlement. It's not a right, but you have an entitlement because you have paid for it, just like you said.
Yeah.
And the program, now, here's another thing that this gentleman should know, and that is, I don't have it with me, but if I had the TennCare Act here, I can show you where the TennCare Act requires a person who needs care. If you need long-term care, the statute, the TennCare Act, requires you to shift the burden to the third-party state, which is the Bureau of TennCare. Now, that is why the reasoning, that's what the program is for. You're supposed to get on TennCare when you can't take care of yourself, or you can't be taken at home.
Yeah.
And it's in the act, it's just supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And so, and now, and the courts have said, the courts analyzed that, and they said, listen, you're entitled to 10 care benefits. It is not welfare.
Right.
There are some things that 10 care do that are welfare. I don't even do those, but there are some things, and I'm not going to talk about them because that is out of my lane, because I just don't even do that small sliver of 10 care. But it's not welfare, it's an entitlement. But what the courts have said was, however, to get the entitlement, you do have to qualify under the rules.
Yeah.
Okay? And so there you have the answer to that question. You don't have to. Almost everything you said is not exactly correct. You don't owe it. I mean, you can take the position that, hey, I'm going to pay my own bill and just pay it. And you can do that if you want. But you don't have to. And that's why. It wasn't designed to make people broke, to take all that they own just to pay for the system.
Yeah.
Now, and the rules that we use to protect assets don't come from me. I didn't make them up.
Yeah.
They're in the 10 Care Act and in the Federal Medicaid Act.
Sure.
Those are things that are allowed. I'm proud of my law license. I'm not going to do something where I just kind of make it up as I go.
Right.
I can stand behind everything I put in those trusts. Because I write my own trusts. I know what they say, and I've modified them over the years for this and that, just to make them stronger in one spot and a little less exposed in other.
Yeah.
So you're hitting the nail right on the head. There is no.
I don't
You're not a drag on the system because you do this.
Yeah, I don't know that people realize that we're paying for it. If you're employed and you're making an income, and you're paying taxes and Social Security, you are paying into the system. And I don't think people realize that they are.
Medicaid, which is what we're talking about, in our state it's called 10 Care, right?
Yeah.
So Medicaid gets funded a couple of different ways. One, by federal money. Two, by the estate recovery that every state is required to have under the Medicaid Act. All 50 states have to have a state recovery act where they go after property after death. And third, by there's a portion of taxes that are withheld for it falls in the medical category, which get taken out, that goes to your state's long-term care department. Ours is the Bureau of 10 Care.
Yeah.
There may be a couple other ways, but I'm not familiar with them. There could be other
So
things.
all of my working life, I've been contributing to
That's right.
this fund.
At least since 1965 forward.
I fit in that category.
Okay.
So I'm not taking something that I haven't contributed to.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So that's and I guess that was my point when I heard him say that, because he was like, you're just committing fraud if you set this up and you hide your whatever. Of course, what you're talking about is not really hidden. It's just under the law, this can be done.
I consider the word hide a 4-letter word.
Yeah, that's not a good word.
And that's not what we do. Everything's full disclosure of what we do. We disclose everything to 10 Care.
Yeah.
And that's how we are so successful. Disclose everything, tell them what we did, why we did it. Here's the statutory authority that allows us to do it. What's your answer? It has to be approved.
Yeah.
It can't be anything else. If it's disapproved, we know that it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
And we appeal it and we win. So here's what he's talking about. Let's say you have some precious metals.
Yeah.
Or just a stash of cash, right?
Yeah.
You bury it in the backyard.
Yeah.
That's probably not uncommon here in the South,
Yeah.
especially several years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I get the question all the time when people say, I've got some precious metals, do I have to disclose that? And I say, well, technically, the answer is yes. Because when you fill out the 10 Care application to get benefits, it's very intrusive with your income and assets.
Yeah.
It gets into your business pretty big.
Yeah.
And so, suppose you have this, excuse me, if you have this and you don't disclose it.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. Will they ever find out about it being buried in your yard? I don't know. I don't want to say probably not, but I'd say not very likely, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But if they do find out about it, here's the problem. If you had it, you didn't disclose it, and you didn't disclose it knowing that you had it, knowing that you didn't disclose it, now you're dealing with 10 Care fraud.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of teeth to it. So you don't want to commit fraud. I agree with them on that. Getting yourself eligible is not fraud.
Right.
That's what that's what the Act requires us to do. It's how you deal with the assets. Okay.
Yes.
Trying to hide them, I would never recommend. That you'll go to jail for that.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Same thing with when your income tax. There's a big difference between avoidance and evasion.
Yes.
Avoidance you can do all day long. The courts have said, you can. It's probably your duty to avoid paying taxes you don't know.
Yeah.
You can avoid taxes all day long. You can find loopholes. You can find all kind of things, claims, deductions that fit for you and reduce your tax burden.
These are legal avoidances.
It's avoidance.
Yeah.
Evasion is is something different. Evasion is hiding it,
Yeah.
concealing it, misrepresenting it, intentionally.
Yeah.
That's the crime. And the same thing here. That would be fraud.
Yeah.
And so, no, I would never recommend it, but I would like to debate that issue with him about, just getting yourself eligible and maintaining and keeping your assets.
Yeah.
I would like to argue, I can have a debate with him on that, because everything I say is not gonna be, First Pierchoski 14, some chapter and verse.
Right.
It comes from somewhere. It's not my original thinking. So, but yeah, I mean, I do it all the time. I see it happen all the time. TennCare gets to see everything that we do. I've actually had those conversations with because let me put it this way: TennCare people, I don't think they're just people that want a job and they get it. They just never trained very much.
Right.
I'm talking about caseworkers.
They have to learn on the fly, probably.
Kind of. I don't know what kind. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of attrition, but I don't think they get trained much. Well, I've had conversations with them where they said, somebody has a lot of assets.
Yeah.
A whole lot. And I'm sending the application, we're going for eligibility, and they're like, well, what happened? We look back on their snapshot date, we look back, there's a ton of money in their bank account, and so where'd this go? And I said, well, they gave it all to their disabled child.
Yeah.
And they said, well, isn't that a gift? Didn't they give it away? And they did that in the last 60 months, so that's a penalty period, right? And I said, no, why don't you stick with me here, and let's go to Title 42, Section 1384P, and a couple other letters after that, and I pointed out to you. And there's two people in all the world that you can give away property to and not incur a penalty period. One is the spouse, and this person didn't have one, and the other is a disabled child, and this person did have one.
Yeah.
And it says it's an unlimited transfer. I mean, we probably transferred over $1 million to this person. And so, when I pointed out to him, and this person was very receptive to input, I pointed out, and they said, well, I'm going to check with our legal department, but that is what it says. And I said, that's what it says, and that's what we did. And you asked where'd the money go? I'm being 100% upfront with you. It went to that disabled child under that statute that allows the transfer. And that's all there is to it. So go talk to the legal department and see what they say. And I can say, I know you want to do that for your own personal peace of mind, but I can tell you right now what they're going to say, that yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
And actually, we've done it on many occasions, and we hardly get any pushback on that. But that, now if you have a spouse when you go in, same kind of thing. You just turn it all over to the spouse. When you turn it all over to the spouse, because once you get to a certain point in the eligibility process as husband and wife, you're kind of treated as separate. When it first starts, you're a married unit.
Yeah.
And during we transfer assets. There's something called the Community Spouse Resource Allowance.
Yeah.
Where we can transfer, almost $160,000 just right off the bat to the spouse.
Right.
And other assets we can transfer by other transfer mechanisms, including the real estate.
Right.
And so it's an unlimited transfer. It's called the unlimited spousal transfer, and you can transfer to your spouse an unlimited amount of money. And when you do that, you're excelling your eligibility because you're getting rid of it. Right, because you still have the same eligibility requirements. You got to be below $2,000 of countable assets.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're shedding it by giving it to the spouse. Now it all resides in the family because it can't reside with you, because if you're in care, you just can't own very much.
Right.
But you want to be eligible. So we just give it all to the spouse. Now, a lot of people are single when they end up in the care, and all those spousal impoverishment tools are gone.
Yeah.
The spousal impoverishment tools, many of them come from our Deficit Reduction Act, the Catastrophic Illness Act. The things where the theory is, if you go into long-term care, pick on you and Teresa, and you go into long-term care and it's $10,000 a month. I mean, you are this black hole of cost of $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Now your wife Teresa is probably thinking, I'm sure she's worried about your care, but she's got to also be thinking, what am I going to do when this black hole of cost of $10,000 a month exhausts everything that we have?
Yeah.
Because for most people, there's an end in sight at that kind of financial bleeding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so she's worried about that. And that's what the whole, I think, what the spousal impoverishment rules are for, is we need to be able to shift some of the wealth so that the healthy spouse at home has a wherewithal to live off of.
Yeah.
And it's unlimited. And so we can transfer it all to that person. Now, that creates an issue if that person ever goes into long-term care, and now we got some work to do because now they have everything.
Yes.
And now they don't have a spouse to give it to.
Right.
Because even if that spouse is alive and in care, it's not what there's called a community spouse.
Right.
And a community spouse is basically a spouse that's healthy at home, not in care.
Right.
So even though you're married, you got to act under their single rules now because you don't have a community spouse.
Right.
Now you don't have any place to give it to. So it gets a little more challenging like that. But those situations are rarer.
Yeah.
One person goes into care, and then the other spouse, sometime later, goes into care, or sometimes both spouses in care at the same time, which is even rarer still.
Yeah.
But it does happen. There's, when those things start happening, then there's a little less and less that we can do.
Yeah.
And even the worst case scenario, there's always something we can do.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as it can be some other times. Now,
but it's all good if you start early enough.
and back up to before you're actually in care and come to my seminar and do an asset protection trust. It's a whole different ballgame. It's
Yeah.
a whole different ballgame because now you put all this stuff into this trust. Now, if you do go into care, the only thing that's in the equation is what's not in the trust, which is usually a very, very small portion of the assets because we put all the real estate, all the large bank accounts into the trust, and now they're out of the equation.
Right.
Because those are non-countable assets.
Right.
And the only thing you have to have $2,000 of is what? Countable
Countable assets.
not $2,000 to your name. I talk about that at the seminar. I mean, that's one of the biggest things perpetrated on people. I don't know how it started, but in the law it says, the 10-care manual, the age blind and disabled manual, to be eligible for in the resource category, you have to have less than $2,000 of countable resources. And it's always interpreted as $2,000 to your name.
Yeah.
You go across the street and talk to Joe. You know Joe. He's the guy that has the inside line on everything.
Right.
He knows how it works, right? And he's more than happy to give advice.
Yes.
And unfortunately, people act on Joe's advice, which is not a good idea. But anyway, and Joe says, you got too much money. Start giving it away. Give it to your kids. Give your house to your kids. Just write them a check for $10,000. Otherwise, the nursing home's going to get it. That's the kind of advice people get.
I know.
Not a good thing to do. But he's wrong. You may not have too much money. You have too many countable assets. Now, a countable asset can be converted into a non-countable asset. Want a perfect example? Your house is a countable asset. Your
Right.
home. Now, it is considered a special kind of asset.
Right.
It's called excluded, but that doesn't mean they're going to come take it. It just means they're going to come take it. They won't take it till after you die.
That's right.
That's what it means. It's not protected. It's deferred.
Yeah.
Now, that's a countable asset by definition. Deed it to your asset protection trust that I draft for you. The moment it goes into that trust, it becomes a non-countable asset because of the terms and conditions of the trust.
Yeah.
Now when you go to the nurse, if you're applying for 10-care and they say you're filling out the 16-page application, say, what are your assets? Do you have a home? No, I don't. I don't have any more. My trust owns it. It's not me. Because it even says on there, it has to be you own it, the individual. And no, I don't have that. The money I put in there, it's not. You're listing countable assets, and these are not.
Okay.
Now we leave certain things out of that trust, like our checking account, so we can live off stuff.
Yeah.
But we leave that out. Now it's okay. What are these countable assets? Well, now we have some. They're
Yeah.
probably certainly more than $2,000 worth.
Okay.
And so what the thing is now, before we fill out the application, we're going to change those assets from countable to non-countable. Several different categories. We did something, you're familiar, we did a Medicaid compliant annuity.
Yeah.
Where you take a countable asset and turn it into a non-countable stream of income.
Yeah.
My idea? No, it's directly in the Deficit Reduction Act of 2005 that we adopted in 2006. The exact language says you can gift away a portion of property and retain a portion of it to purchase a Medicaid compliant annuity to pay your way through the penalty period created by that portion that you gifted away.
Right.
And we do that a lot, especially with single people. That's a common strategy.
Yeah.
Or we can turn it into suppose you got a home and you're worried about it being taken. Well, we
Okay.
can turn it into an inaccessible asset. We do that by tying up the title, having somebody buy 20% of it. Something like that. Now you got a house that's owned by two people, like you and your son. What's your son's name that used to come in here all the time?
Daniel.
Daniel. So, he's not an adult yet, right?
No, not yet.
Let's say he is.
Okay.
And you can talk him into buying 10 or 20% of your house.
Okay.
Now, we can't give it to him because that'd be a gift, and the reason we're doing this is because we're in care already or something,
Yeah.
or we're waxing the front door ready to go.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to give it away because it's a gift.
Yeah.
But he can buy it, 10 or 20, let's say 20%. I know 20% works. Will
Yeah.
10% work? Probably. I don't like to push the envelope, but anyway. So he pays you for 20%.
Yeah.
Now, when they try to recover, and at your death, they try to go through estate recovery, they come after everything you own. And you still own 80% of the house.
Yeah.
So they're going to come after that house, they're going to recover. However, right in the estate recovery act, they have to recognize the common law form of action that that Tennessee recognizes that you cannot force a co-owner to sell their property.
Okay.
So they can come after your 80%, but they cannot recover the 80% unless they can sell the house.
Yeah.
You can't sell 80% of the house. And so your son just says, I refuse to sell by affidavit. Now, they're not going to get mad at him. They're not going to come browbeat him and say, hey, your dad owes us the money.
Yeah.
He's a co-owner. It's his. He doesn't have to sell it. They can't make him, and they don't try to make him. You just respond to it with an affidavit that I refuse to sell by 20%. Now, by law, in the statute, I can read it to you if I had it in front of me. TennCare now has to consider that an inaccessible asset and move on. They can't get at it because of the common law jurisprudence we have that you can't make a person sell an asset.
Now, is that in perpetuity, or if he decides to sell it 20 years from now?
Oh, I mean, there's a statute of limitations for their recovery on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So no, it's not in perpetuity.
I had a question pop in my head while you were talking.
I'm impressed you came up with the word perpetuity. I like that.
I study. Listen. Is there any reason you would have more than one trust?
Yes, sometimes people that come to me, we do an asset protection trust and we do a revocable living trust too.
Okay.
And the reason to have that is when we do an asset protection trust, we don't put everything into it. We keep out stuff we're living off of.
Okay.
Because we are limiting our access to the property, and something like a checking account, you're accessing it every month. You write a bunch of checks.
Right.
And so we don't want to do that. So we leave it out. We leave other things out that like 401ks or IRA type plans because you can't put those into any trust because you don't own the money there. What you own are the future distributions later on. And so we keep those out. And then, what we'll do with folks, if people want to keep a fair amount of assets out of the asset protection trust, I recommend they put all that into a revocable living trust so we can avoid the probate on that as well.
Yeah.
Now, there's other trusts you can have for if you want to look at more than one trust. Sometimes parents will do a trust, but they have a special needs child. So we'll do a special needs trust for that child.
Okay.
Because special needs children, in order to receive benefits and keep receiving benefits, they cannot be over-resourced. And what over-resources them is not very much. But the trust can hold $1 million. Because the trust is not the special needs child's, and they're not the owner of it, and they're not the trustee, the control over it. But every dollar in the special needs trust is for the benefit of that child.
Okay.
So you can put $1 million in a special needs trust for a child, and that child still be eligible for the benefits to be resourced less than $2,000 because it's not his or hers.
Okay.
But it's for their benefit.
I got you.
Now, is that something I thought of? No. Go to Title 42, Section 1384P, A1 and A1 and A1D. There's first party special needs trust and the third party special needs trust. I didn't make them up. They're creatures of statute. When I draft those, there's not a whole lot of input that I put to it because it's a creature of statute.
Yeah.
So, that's another trust that we can do.
Interesting.
No, I only do a handful of trusts. I mean, there's all kind of trusts you can do. I only do a handful because of what I do, what the community wants.
All right.
Very, very rich people do a lot of trusts to skirt taxes.
All right. You want to take a call?
Sure.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Hey, good morning. You're on with us.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
We can.
You mentioned something about IRAs. Now, some IRAs are in private companies and some are with banks that are FDIC insured. I know you can put POD on a CD, but can you put POD on a IRA and keep it out of a trust where it affects taxes? If you had a comment or two on that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you now.
Run into this all the time because most people have a tax deferred fund.
Yes.
Or a retirement fund. Sometimes you'll hear them called qualified funds. Okay?
Yeah.
When you hear the word qualified funds or tax deferred, we're talking about IRAs, 401ks, 459s. Those things where you put money in and you don't pay the tax on it, it's pre-tax, and you can't really touch it. But at age 59 and a half, you can start taking distributions, and then you have to take distributions at 73, right?
Okay.
So what you're doing when I'm backing up with a little history. What you're doing with an IRA, if I say IRA, I mean all those kind of.
All those funds.
What you're doing is I don't want to say it's an annuity, but it's kind of like an annuity.
Mm-hmm.
You put in a bunch of money, and the advantage is you're not paying the tax on it. But when you start taking distributions, it comes back to you. Now it's taxable income. So the tax gets paid, but they call it the tax deferral is we're gonna pay the tax as it comes back in small doses, because you're gonna start taking a monthly draw, or if you're just taking the required minimums, that it's an annual kind of thing.
Right.
And you start paying them. Now, I said earlier, that let's say I have an IRA, let's say it's got $200,000 in it, okay?
Okay.
I cannot put that IRA in any trust. And the reason is I don't own the $200,000. It doesn't belong to me. Now, when I tell that to people, someone want to come across the table and hit me. But here's, don't get mad at me. What you own, or what the contract you signed up for, is you signed up to say, I'm going to give you all this money because I want to turn it into a stream of income in my retirement years. So once I start receiving distributions, or what they call it becomes in payout status, that's what you bought, and they'll pay you out. Now, so you cannot put it in any trust because you don't own it. Let me qualify it like this. You could put that $200,000 in a trust, but you'd have to cash it out, get the lump sum, and put the lump sum in the trust. But now it's not an IRA anymore, it's a lump sum of money.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can't put it in. And it's by definition a beneficiary-driven instrument. So she's talking about POD, which is a beneficiary on death.
Right.
And so if you pass away, so let's say you got an IRA, you're retiring, it's paying you monthly something, at your death, if there's still money left in that, you can say in your will or in a trust, I leave my IRA to my children, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's an inheritable thing. You can give that to them.
Yeah.
So it's a beneficiary-driven instrument, just like a life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So she's right. She was saying, can you keep it out of a trust? Well, it's easy to keep it out of the trust because you can't put it in any trust.
Yeah.
And that's not a big deal. That's just the nature of the beast. Now, if you could cash it out, but usually there's ramifications of that, and that's if you cash that $200,000 out, you have to pay the tax on it. Now, some people say, well, then I got to pay the tax. I like to tell them, say, that should not be a surprise to you, and it shouldn't be a deal breaker, because when you signed up for it, you signed up for not paying the tax until later.
Right.
So no matter what, you're going to pay the tax. So that's not usually a deal breaker. The time it's a deal breaker is if it's pretty large, like $200,000 or $300,000, and you cash it out. What you now have is $300,000 of income in that calendar year, and that could push you to another tax bracket.
Yeah.
But even then, the next tax bracket's only like 2.5%, so it's not really that bad. But usually we don't do that because of that.
Yeah.
And now if it's a smaller one, like $100,000 or less, the tax hit's not that big a deal. I mean, it's $7,000-$10,000, but it's still within means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't make paying the tax a deal breaker. You're paying that as it comes back to you anyway.
Yeah.
You're just doing it in small doses.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have 12 distributions throughout the year from a monthly distribution. You're paying the tax on that income, but you're spreading it out over more than one taxable year.
The theory, I guess, is you have at that age you may have a lesser income and be in a lesser tax bracket. Maybe that was.
Well, it's true. I mean, the tax bracket is a variable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but there's an advantage to doing it. There's other ones that are different, like Roth, where you pay the tax up front, and it's not tax deferred.
Yeah.
Now, let's go a little further and say, okay, if you can't put it in trust, how do we protect an IRA?
Yeah.
Or one of those.
Yeah. How do you?
We've talked about this several times before too, but now that I gave all that groundwork, it might be helpful to now we maybe have a better understanding of it. So, what I tell people is, hey, we have this IRA. It's meant to pay in our retirement years. Mm-hmm. Let's just let it do that. We're not going to put it in the trust because we can't. So it's outside the trust. Let it pay in our retirement years. Now, dying is a when. Long-term care is an if, right? Not everybody goes into care and then dies. Some people just die without going into long-term care. Right?
That's true.
So this is the if you or your spouse go into long-term care, we can save every single dollar in that IRA. And here's how we're going to do it. And I'm talking about a married couple. And when you have a married couple, they each have their own IRA. That's what the I stands for, individual. Yeah. So it's not a marital collective asset.
Right.
And so let's say the husband has $200,000. I'm going to pick on you. I'll pick on the husband like I always do.
All right.
I always kill the husband off first in my office or put him in long-term care.
Yep.
And so, why do I do that, guys? It just saves time, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, the husband goes into care, and he's got a $200,000 IRA.
Okay.
The way we protect that is we cash it out. And the first thing people say, oh, the tax. Hold your horses. It's a Paul Harvey moment.
Yes.
We'll wait for the rest of the story. Right?
Yeah.
We're going to cash it out. Now, when you cash it out, you have 60 days to roll it over into another similarly tax-deferred instrument to avoid paying the taxes. Now, you can do it institution to institution, or we can do it institution to you with a check, and then you go give it to their institution, which is the way we do it because it's faster. Now, when we do this, the 60 days doesn't mean anything to us, because when we do this, we do it for this reason.
Yeah.
We cash it out one day and turn it into something else the next day. So we're never worried about the 60 days. I was once, and maybe someday I'll tell you that story, because it was bizarre. Anyway, so what we do is we cash it out. Now we got $200,000 worth of cash. We get a check.
Yeah.
And we tell them, don't withhold anything. We want to do a direct rollover, no withholding. So if there's $200,000 in there, they're going to give it to us. Now what that means is, if I don't turn that into something after 60 days, then I owe the tax. And, and nobody's withheld it, so I got to pay for the whole thing, right?
Right.
But if I'm allowed to turn it into a similar tax-deferred instrument, and I don't have to pay the tax. So we turn right around and buy a Medicaid-compliant annuity, a spousal Medicaid-compliant annuity. Now we've taken all that, put it into that. Now that'll start paying to the spouse, and the spouse will pay tax on it as the payments come back to her.
I got you.
And we save every dollar in there. Now, the only thing we might have done when we do this that would have anything close to a slight disadvantage is we will have accelerated when it starts paying back.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are just taking required minimums.
Right.
Which is okay, but don't forget why we got these IRAs. We got them to support us with income during our retirement years. So if you got a big one, take distributions. I mean, gosh, they're growing like gangbusters. You couldn't take enough out of it to slow the rate of growth.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully for the next 2 years for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe for a longer time than that.
And
but
maybe four.
But nonetheless, take the distributions. Now, if so, when we do that, we're going to pay it to the spouse. And when we pay it to the spouse, we can control how fast it pays back.
Yeah.
I won't get into a lot of things, but the minimum we can do it, or the minimum I do it for, is no shorter than 4 months.
Okay.
So imagine a $200,000 Medicaid compliant annuity for 4 months. That's what, $50,000 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've done that before. Or we can stretch it out, but we cannot exceed the person who owned the IRA their actuarial lifetime.
Okay.
So if you go to the chart and you see how long is this person going to live, 10 years, we can't exceed that. Now, we balance that one. If the spouse we're paying it to has got poor health and we're worried about her passing away, we pay it back as fast as we can and just take the tax hit.
Yeah.
If they're healthy, we stretch it out over more years, maybe even the entire lifetime. Because now it's a stream of income to her. It's one of the spousal impoverishment tools.
Right.
That's what it's for. Okay, so we are at the end. I hope that answered the question. If not, bring it again next Friday.
We got about another 4 minutes.
There's enough time to go back and talk about the seminar. I think I covered most of that, though. But yeah, the question was, how do we keep that out of the trust, or can we keep it out of the trust? The answer is yes, you can, because you can't put it in there in the first place. But it doesn't mean it's not protected.
Right.
It just means it's not protected by the trust. The trust is just one tool we use to protect our assets. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve everything. That's what the planning is. It's a multitude of strategies, and by doing that, when the spouse gets that thing paid off, I had one that is a $485,000 paid off back over 17 months. Or I would say maybe over 12 months. I can't remember, but I remember her payments were like $17,000 a payment.
Yeah.
Got every penny of it back and earned like $4,000 or $5,000 in interest.
Oh, wow.
All that short period of time.
Wow.
So, anyway, there's lots we can do. I mean, both pre-planning as well as crisis planning. Don't throw in the towel too early. Come see us. I mean, if you're a person just says, I'm going to pay that bill because I think I should, well then pay it. I mean, you certainly have that choice.
Sure.
I'm not here to talk you into anything or talk you out of anything.
Yeah.
But if you want to hang on to what you've worked for all your life, come see me. We know how to do it.
I've been really amazed at how much I've learned on the Fridays that we spent together here about this. I feel like I can be prepared for this stuff.
Yeah.
And you can too. Stan Pierchoski, everybody in Pulaski, Pierchoski Estate Law, and you've got that seminar
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's just
10
tomorrow.
a.m. Saturday at the
I've got a good buddy that's coming tomorrow.
Star Theater, 10 a.m. at Star Theater, right on the square in Pulaski. Wheels Trust the Nursing Home.
Yeah.
Call my office at 931-363-7222 at Pierchoski State Law. You don't have to RSVP at this late date. Just show up.
It's
okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and lots to do on the square there too after that seminar. So you'll have a good day.
We got a good crowd coming too.
And you got an exciting weekend maybe with the grandbaby on the way.
We're on go.
We're on watch, aren't we?
I may have something to tell you next Friday.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Now, do they know if they're expecting a little boy or a little girl?
We're pretty sure it's a girl.
Little girl, okay.
So I have 2 girls and a boy.
That's
awesome.
Grandchild. Grandbabies. That's awesome.
So does that bring us to time?
Well, we still got about a minute or two.
Oh, okay.
We're all right. We need to kill another minute at least anyway. So
Oh, I think we certainly capable of doing that. But we've already talked about all the estate planning stuff.
yeah,
so.
we can talk about something fun. I mentioned it to you earlier. We're going to get us one of those new $250 bills.
Yes. You know, I hadn't heard that, but
You had not heard it?
I'm surprised I hadn't heard it. But I hadn't.
It's funny that the and I don't know who did it or if it's anything even real, but it made the news, or at least something I saw where there's proposing putting President Trump on a $250 bill.
You know, I want to make a prediction. You
I
know,
think that's funny.
Some of those things that have come out have been a flop. Like
Yeah.
the $2 bill.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Susan B. Anthony dollar.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, those are all worthy people and worthy of.
Yeah,
But those, but
They just weren't used.
It was like the denomination they used, and Susan B. Anthony. It failed because everybody thought it was a damn. Everybody thought it was a quarter.
Yeah, everybody thought it was
You
a
know
quarter.
what I mean? And I did too. And but I think because of the way things are, if they do come out with that, if it's any truth to that, I think it'll be very popular.
It probably would be.
Because $100 bills, like you don't walk into Walmart and come out without $100. I mean,
Yeah.
you just don't do it.
I know. You know, I've got
fill
a
up gas. It takes $100.
I've got a $2 bill that I have had for years and years and years and years.
Well, it's a
And
collector's thing.
It's kind of and it's in one of my Bibles, kind of like a bookmark, and I just leave it in there, and it's just in there.
Yeah, just in
the $2 bill.
I have time for a real
Anyway.
quick. I have time for a real quick joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember the Archie comics?
Oh yeah.
I remember there was Reggie, who was always the
Oh, yeah.
troublemaker, and
Yeah.
there was a guy called Jughead, who was
Jughead.
who was kind of like not Jughead, the big guy, Bruno, or
Yeah,
I
okay.
can't remember his name.
Okay.
It was the kind of the big football
Oh,
player.
yeah,
Dunce. I
yeah.
can't think of his name. Butch or something like that.
Yeah.
And Reggie says to Archie, "Hey Reggie, watch this," and he goes over to this big guy, Bruno or whatever, and says, "Hey Bruno, you have change for an $18 bill?" And Bruno's looking there with a question mark on his face, and he pulls his wallet out and he says, "Do you want 2 9s or 3 6s?" When you say $250 bill, that
That's good. I like it. Stan Pierchoski, everybody. We've got to get up and get out of here and go do our real jobs.
sounds like a plan. Always
All
a
right.
pleasure. See you next week.
We'll see you next time.
Pretty close.